Good morning. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Time for the Southern California Writers Association Hump Day Book Tour. I'm your host, Maddie Margarita, here with Diana Pardee on tech. Every Wednesday at 10 a.m., the Southern California Writers Association welcomes a new author to talk about their books and their work, and maybe share some insights into their backgrounds. So this morning, we are pleased to welcome Susan Farese. Susan is a native of New Jersey, and she's the author of the book Poetic Expressions in Nursing, Sharing and Caring. She's written poetry and articles on a variety of topics. She's also the owner and president of SJF Communications PR in San Diego, California. Susan has diversified experience in healthcare and communications, including military and civilian nurses, management, education training, research, and consulting. She's a member of SAG-AFTRA, American Legion Post 43, Veterans in Media and Entertainment, San Diego's Writers Inc., and the San Diego Press Club. Oh my gosh, you're so busy. Thank you for finding time to join us this morning.
Thank you. And it's, of course, SCWA as well.
Of course. Well, thank you for reminding us. See, there's that public relations experience coming right in there. We appreciate that.
I've got another one for you. My last name is Felice.
Farese. Oh, see?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
the Italian, right?
Exactly. And it's my husband's name, but my reason joy, Denise Felice Farese. My maiden name was Felice, and it rhymes with Farese. And I am a poet, and I know it.
I don't think anybody's going to forget that, Susan. So thank you for sharing. So such an interesting concept behind your book. The poetry, using poetry as I guess as a catharsis for some of the experiences that you've had and people that you know and are surrounded by have had. So tell us a little bit about the book, and well, first tell us a little bit about you and where the concept came from, and then maybe you could talk a little bit about the book.
Well, the book was previously published in 1993, so this is a second edition in 2021. I wrote it in 93, and my first poem was written in 91 about my maternal grandmother, Anne, who was an unfortunate victim of early Alzheimer's disease and died institutionalized at age 60. So my first poem, Anne's Zest Ends, in the book is about my grandmother, and then it led me to write more and more poetry since 1991. This past year, I've added in the second edition some haiku and some of my nature photography, which I usually use as prompts when I teach haiku. My story began in the movie theater in 1991, watching the movie Awakenings with my husband, with Robert De Niro and Robin Williams. There was a character in the movie, Lucy, that had a red ball, sat in a wheelchair, caught this ball, and had this, reminded me of my grandmother. Then that was 20 years after she passed. So this is 91, she passed in 71. And a few days later, I couldn't get to sleep. I tried a bath. I tried a glass of wine. My husband was away on a business trip at the time. I grabbed this journal that he'd given me the holiday before and sat on the couch. I was still kind of crying and thinking about this movie and how much it affected me. And a 3-page poem poured out of me that rhymed, that was in sequence from childhood all the way to 20 years after her death in 1991 as a nurse, 20 years later as a nurse, reflecting on this. So you said the magic word, Maddie, it's cathartic and therapeutic. And that's what happened to me. The next day I called my mom and read the poem to her because she was who went through this with her own mom. And she started crying and she said, this is the closest thing to what we went through back then. I want you to share this poem with everybody. So this is 1991. So I got up and I was in Chamber of Commerce meetings as a nurse entrepreneur. I did a lot of programs that would read this one, and people would come up to me. People would grab tissues. They would want to talk about people in their family with dementia or other problems with their memory. I'm like, what is this? This was phenomenal that this poem reached so many people, touched people in the heart. And so I continued writing poetry. The book was written in 93 with a nurse-owned publishing company. And now we've done the second edition because the pandemic has really stressed out many nurses. They are burnt out. They are having depression. They are suicidal, some of them. They are leaving nursing. And I wanted to do this to celebrate nursing so that people, the readers, the public know about, we have stories too. We work with so many people and we keep a lot of it within. And so poetry is my cathartic therapeutic avenue to get my stories out. I also teach haiku as a form of poetry, a short form of poetry. And that's basically it. My story is from the heart. It's free form poetry. I'm not a literary poet or creative arts major or anything like that. I have a master's in nursing, and I'm a carer and a caregiver, and just would love people to celebrate nursing with this book.
So it's such a great premise and a great theme. So, we normally talk to lots of authors who write books. So what is the difference in your opinion? What can a reader expect when they pick up a book of poetry versus a novel?
Okay, that's a
let's say?
great question. Poetry, my book especially, you can pick it up and read the whole thing in about an hour, maybe even less, or you can just pick it up whenever you want and get inspired by the table of contents, because what's in there are just different themes like family, caregiving, death, night shift, day shift, just different stories from my nursing career. So it's a little bit different in that, some people are not familiar with poetry. It takes some time, but my poetry usually does touch people, and there are usually a couple of poems that people want to tell me about in reviews and whatever, that this one really got to me, or it reminded me of my grandfather, or something that touches them. So basically there's a visceral feeling that people get when they read poetry, hopefully, and that's my intent. I never intended to write the book in the first place. In '91, I wrote that first poem, and it just led me to get more words out. And it makes me happy when I can introduce people to poetry with haiku, because it's a way to get the general public writing, not just nurses. So the book is for everybody, to stimulate, hey, you know what? This isn't so difficult. I can write a poem too. And I could either share it, keep it to myself, or throw it away. Like, you have a choice when you write.
So who do you think would this be the kind of book that would be great for somebody who knew somebody in the healthcare field, or is it the kind of book that anybody can look at their average day and experience the same kind of emotion, that maybe not to the degree? I mean, I'm not everybody works in a life and death situation, like medical professionals.
Right.
But so who do you think would really enjoy this book?
Well, primarily nurses, people that are in the caring professions, people that love and support nurses, and just anybody, because I've heard that like there's a poem about caregiving in there. There are many people that have nothing to do with the healthcare field that are caregiving for their elderly parents or their children that might have issues. And it's also an educational tool to teach people what nurses go through with stress and such. And there's different cadence and rhythms in some of my poems. Some of them rhyme, some are haiku, and some are just kind of prosy. I mean, for instance, when my dad had a heart attack in '92, I took my mom and we were in the waiting room, and I had a journal with me, and I just wrote, and it's part of matters of his heart. And I explained to my mom what kind of tubes he's going to have. He'll have oxygen. This is what he's going to look like. He won't be able to talk to us. And then in the poem, I say, potassium infusing, blood infusing, or whatever it was. And then I say, stop that. You are not the nurse. You are the daughter. So it's a way that I reflect as a human as well as a nurse. And so I think it's really for everybody. It's not a long read. I also have done it on audiobook and narrated it, and it's on ebook. So ebook, paperback, and audiobook.
Great.
And I guess the film will be done soon too, right? I don't know.
Well, hopefully.
I'm ready to write a screenplay.
Yeah, hopefully we would love that, Susan, and then come back for sure. We can say we knew you when. But so from your experience, what are some of the things the tips you can give people? This has been a really stressful time for a lot of people, and continues to be a stressful time. People are not always so open to change, and things are changing every day. So what are some of the things that you can suggest, or that help you or have helped people that handle stress, in addition to reading your book first?
Exactly. Well, for me, when I'm stressed out, I love to go outside and experience nature and appreciate nature. I bring my camera or my phone with me. I look and see what's going on. I listen. I use my senses. I am also a bird watcher. And it's just very serene and mindful to go out in nature when you can. Bring a camera or bring your notebook and sit on a bench wherever you find one or wherever and reflect about what you see and write about it. And it could be a poem, it could be a short story, it could be just a paragraph, it could be a few sentences. That's really, really helpful to me. But also to cultivate and have a passion for something that's creative in your life. It doesn't have to be writing. It could be cooking, it could be visual art, it could be dance, it could be filmmaking. There's just so many things people can do. And especially at this time, it's a very stressful time, the past year and a half. We don't know how long it's going to continue. It's affecting, I mean, there are days in the past year and a half that I would just cry to let it out. I mean, that's therapeutic too, letting it out. Don't, you know, we need to deal with the stress. And because we've never experienced this before, it's very different. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, it did. That's a great answer. And my other question is, we all have, or a lot of people have people in their lives that are caregivers in the mental or medical health field, mental health field as well. Right. So, I mean, how do the people around, I mean, I think this book would give you some insight into, you know, what they're going through on the inside, and maybe help you get out of yourself a little bit and maybe into the mind of somebody else, and maybe your problems don't look so big all of a sudden. But how do you, or what would you suggest to people about how they can help the people in their lives that are caregivers or maybe in the medical field?
I think,
you know,
I think that's a fantastic question. I think the first thing is to be able to listen, just let them vent. And that's difficult to do. The nursing techniques we use is reflective technique. I understand you're going through this. Nod, really connect with them with your eye contact, and it'll happen. It'll just evolve if you really connect with them and you're interested in what they're going through and being empathetic and compassionate.
That's so great. So what do you hope that people feel when they finish reading, when they close the book and they've read all the poetry in there, or maybe just the selections that appeal to them? What do you hope that they feel?
I just think hopefully it would open their heart and understand nursing more, and maybe reach out to a nurse that they know in their family or people that have taken care of you. A note to a hospital where your loved one was. Just empathize with nursing and celebrate nursing. Nursing there's 4 million nurses. That's a lot of nurses. That's a lot of healthcare providers. And just think about all the stories. Each shift, if people are taking care of 20 patients, double that, triple that. I mean, there's so many things in our hearts. And so you're allowed as well, if you're not a nurse, to vent, let your stress out, have somebody that cares about you, connect with groups that are like-minded, reach out to a friend, call somebody. Remember the phone calls of years ago? People don't use phones as much, or email somebody or text somebody, but reach out and show you're caring. The name of the book is Poetic Expressions in Nursing, Sharing the Caring.
That's a great reminder. Where can people find the book and the audiobook, Susan?
The book is now hopefully everywhere that you can buy books. So it is online, it is in audiobook and paperback. Excuse me, I just had a little blip here. But it is on Amazon, it's on Ingram, so bookstores can order it. It's on Draft to Digital. It's really anywhere that you buy your books or order your books. I am trying to get it into more and more bookstores as well. So if you know of a bookstore that you'd like me to reach out to, please connect with me and we'll get it there. I'd love to have schools of nursing buy it and universities, anybody with the health professions and that kind of thing. So the sky's the limit for me. I just want to celebrate nursing and just help me get the word out. That's all.
You know what? Such a positive message, such a great and heartfelt motivation. I hope everyone will get behind this. buy your book. If you can't afford to buy it, if you or somebody lends it to you, please take the time to write a review, because reviews have value too. We appreciate that. We understand not everybody can buy every book, but the reviews are of tremendous value to authors. So we appreciate that as well. All right, Susan, this is a good point. I can't believe our time is up. I told you, we knew it was going to go fast. But thank you for being here. I hope everybody enjoyed this bookshot, and like I said, that you'll do what you can to support this great endeavor. You can, if you have friends who you think would be interested in this presentation, it will be on Facebook Live. It will also be on our YouTube channel, SCWA Writers Online. You can go there and find this bookshot as well as others. So we'll hope that you'll do that and write and subscribe and share and comment and all those good things to help us develop our social media following. And Susan's smiling because she runs a PR firm, so she knows what I'm talking about. So until next time, again, we thank you, stay safe, and keep reading.